So I would start the day I was passing out from my college institute, my IIT campus. So the big dreams. To be honest, I did not have any dream at that time. So I was just thinking that what to do. And at that point of time, I just thought of joining a company where I can put to use whatever I have learned from this institute. So that is in the core segment, joining some company through which I can actually utilize my knowledge, my learning. So I joined STMicroelectronics. I started developing chips. I was enjoying for some time. But over the time, I realized there is no impact which I am making, which I can see. And at that point of time, I started feeling a void. Is that I am going to do entire my life just earning something, financial gain, and that not having any measurable impact? So that void actually forced me to come up with some solutions or to think big. And I would think that was the start point when I was started thinking big. So for me, the thinking big was to create some impact, to change lives, to contribute something positive in common man's life. Somehow that impact, that idea, that fascinated me. Why not try something else? And then I started exploring various options. Maybe start from startup, but did not have any big idea to start startup. Why not go to US and get some R&D? Indeed, I tried, but did not get any idea what to do in PhD. And then I got to know about civil services. Yes, you can create an impact. And then I thought of how I can start, because 2 years were industry and lots of people were saying it's 5-year plan. You are thinking of UPSC Panchvarshi Yojana. So when you think of UPSC, it's not a very easy decision to make. And that was the time when I had to apply my simple mind, how to solve that problem, how I should start. The thing which I thought, say after 5 years, if I don't succeed, how would I justify this gap? At that point of time, I got one mantra for me. I need not to justify to anyone. This is my life, I am living, I should be happy. So these 5 years, if I choose those subjects which give me happiness, I would be happy throughout my life and I would be learning. And whenever you learn, your knowledge is never wasted. That's what my belief. So I chose maths and physics, the subjects which I am always in love with. I started preparing day and night. I was thoroughly enjoying it. That mantra by Gita, Karm kar phal ki chinta mat kar. Those all the dots started getting connected. And when I started enjoying, I could see the result. And somehow, within a couple of years, I made it to IRS. Even in IRS. So my objective was to collect taxes, to catch tax evaders, which I was doing wonderfully. So even I was recognized for all my work. After spending 1 decade, some other thoughts were coming that can I create larger impact? Is it the final goal? And then again, something happened, something started happening. And there's some greater calling. That's what I can say. So in that process, I started observing that the technology was fascinating me a lot. Whenever there was some technical discussion in WhatsApp group, I used to get carrying out R&D. So our batchmate, wingmate, Gaurav Rezada, he is the devil behind everything. So he posed a question on the WhatsApp group, can we broadcast data? Because in 2017, the data was not that cheap. I was mad with this idea that data is costly and you broadcast it in rural areas, every farmer would be having that information. What is the contact number of administration? What crops to be sown? What is the harvesting period? What is the weather information? Overnight they will get, and it is preserved, because when you communicate through voice and if they're not able to hear it, then everything is gone. And that was a time when almost every village were having smartphones. So I started investing time. I kept on researching through the time, whatever the time I was provided after the office hours. I carried out some research. I got a solution, but I had to implement it. So what to do? So that was one of the big idea which I perceived. Now create some system to broadcast data through radio stations, FM radio stations. And because there is community radio in each and every village, they have their community radio system. You broadcast that data. Right now, they are broadcasting only sound waves, sound information. You broadcast digital information, store it on mobile, they can see it. That was the technologically challenging problem. I took 6 months break. I opened one single lab room, tinkered with circuit, took help of my friends, and so I successfully executed. We used Raspberry Pi to broadcast, converted to radio system. It broadcasted some signal, and then some device to receive those signal and successfully decoded the digital information, coded into sound waves. That's how the entire POC was carried out. And when I started developing application for this, we have esteemed guest Prashant Mishra here. I took his help. So we were developing application, and then we hit a roadblock. And we got to know that smartphone manufacturers are not giving FM chip access, in spite of the fact it's there. God knows what reason is there. So when you don't have FM chip access, you cannot do anything. So my project got completed in 2 months. Now I had 4 months available with me. What to do? Because I was just sitting alone. I have taken a break from my service because I was into technology, but I kept on searching new ideas. So what is the bigger problem? And then I got fascinated about making education more interesting. And then I got to know how do we preserve knowledge. We started preserving knowledge from a text, and then we moved on with those illustrations, which we call a sketch, because there was no technology of clicking the pictures. When we had the technology of clicking the pictures, we used those pictures in our textbooks to explain the concept in better way. And that's how this is the sequence. And when we have video technology, when we can record the sessions, we moved on to video-based learning. Then I thought of what is about that technology where we can actually see these concepts in 3D, because our world is 3D. And if we can see 3D in 3D, that thing is going to revolutionize our learning. And that's how I started something affordable holographic projections. How can we see 3D in 3D? What are those solutions? And then I came to know about this mesmerizing world of augmented and virtual reality, where you can see 3D models in your real world or virtual world. And whatever you can think of, they have multiple use cases in education, remote collaboration, training, gaming, everywhere. So during the search, I identified one of the problems. The solution was there, and West was moving very fast. They had developed all these solutions for gaming, for education, remote collaboration, everything. But their cost, they are not made for India. When we talk about rural India, people will laugh. Oh yeah, we are in villages, what are you going to do? But why not? When innovation takes place, when the technology reaches to the masses. And that is the problem. I identified that why it is the cost barrier, so our developers are not learning. Developers are not learning, they are not creating any content which is relevant for India. So as in India, we are not talking about AR/VR. So AR/VR is alien technology, which is there for the West. Who can afford it? Okay, you enjoy. And that's exactly happened with the smartphone. When iPhone came, it was for the classes. So it's not for us. But then Android came. When everybody was having, then we started, okay, with this, we should have it. Every new technology passes through this curve. It takes a breakthrough, and because of its R&D, it's very costly, but someone will have to go for affordable solution. So that was my big dream at this point of time, to democratize AR/VR and to take AR/VR to the masses. Now from here, in the remaining 4 months, I spent further R&D in the hardware and learning more skill set. So one learning which I had always, if you do not have anyone to support you, you can actually start learning on your own, because there's a vast content and knowledge sharing available on the internet. So this was the source of inspiration, where through frugal innovation, you can take costly technology to the masses. This, the left-hand side, the foldscope, this is by Manu Prakash, IIT Kanpur, 1 year senior to me, and he's a Stanford professor. He developed a paper microscope, a 50-cent microscope, which has all the features which the costly microscopes are having. The second device is Google Cardboard. You just put a smartphone into Google Cardboard and you can see virtual reality, but with some limitation. Google Cardboard does not have an interaction like these controllers, which are on a high-end devices. And that's where I identified a gap. If I can add one 3D mouse to smartphone, I can add interaction. And probably I can do everything where these kids are doing all this costly system. They are just interacting with virtual reality. So it's set back. And these all are problems I noted down. Affordable hardware, I had to figure it out. AR, VR ecosystem, that for the IT developers, to develop some content, I will have to go for developers. And that's why I started reaching out to companies. But their service solutions are too costly. So I utilized my 4 months in developing this solution, which is the early prototyping. And that is early prototype, which is basically, I called it 3D mouse. And these are all basically results which I could succeed basically creating some art form or maybe the dissection of ear, even on a smartphone, using this device. The way we interact with laptop, with a mouse, this device allows you to interact in virtual domain with 6 degrees of freedom. So you can see in the prototype, the 3D modeling example, which otherwise only possible on high-end devices, I could do on a smartphone where I had this device in my hand. I was holding a camera on the smartphone and I could design. So this is the early prototype. Now, I joined, unfortunately my leave got exhausted. I had to join back. They were not, no more leaves are available. So I just filed the patent. Now, I had solved only one issue, affordability. Major issues were developers were not there. I did not have any team. How to make that team, because I did not have any resource. And as a government servant, you cannot raise funds, you cannot raise money, you cannot carry out the commercial activities. I can only carry out the research activities, those activities which are making people's life simpler. So that's okay. So I decided I would go to the path where everything is allowed and would decide when the interests are clashing. So here I had a big dream, and how I was applying a simple mind that how to solve these problems with a job, how could I do? But then COVID happened, the universe conspires and something happens and you actually get all those things. So during the COVID, I started getting calls from my prospective developers that these students or these kids are wasting their time on Netflix. So who are those early developers whose parents called me? I would show. So this is me. I am holding my nephews. He is my sister's son. So all these 3 were graduating during the COVID. From the college, and during the COVID, they were spending time at their home and they were watching Netflix. And I got a time that they're wasting their time. I said, okay. I rented one room for them. I called them and said, learn what I'm teaching you. Don't waste. So I started teaching them. You should learn AR, VR, how to develop. And so I transmitted all my knowledge to them. Then I said, can you make this team bigger by calling your friends? So this is what happened. So Bhopal is a beautiful city of lakes. So they used to call their friends, they used to have those chit-chats and used to convince them, see, this is a very good life here. What are you doing in that big city where it's full of traffic and full of pollution? And here there's so much to learn. So that's how we kept on adding our team members, who is here with me also. So that's how this process began. And then we started growing. And at that point of time, the time came when I was engaged so much into all this that I had to answer how long I'm going to carry like this. Something which started as a hobby became my passion. And I could not think anything other than the technology. And the whole idea about making it affordable, making it providing to the masses for innovation, that was so much inspirational that I couldn't think about anything. So at that point of time, I thought of moving away from IRS and joined the team full time. And after that, we kind of made this product. And I would request So this most frugal XR controller. I call it 3D mouse. This is the combination of very simple technologies. I thought of converting a smartphone into highly interactive device where with just a simple smartphone camera, we track this, so we have all its coordinates, and then with a simple solution, we can actually interact with. So you can see that this is called augmented reality, where you have live feed, you are capturing the real world. And if I can bring some virtual content on the top of this, this becomes augmented reality. So the moment I bring my controller, you can see a heart basically in my hand. So this is, and the moment I interact with it, I can make it bigger. So this is one of the mode which, and by simple clicking these buttons, different 3D models I can see. And so these all are experiences which you have created in-house. And now, I will not ask you to right now wear the glasses. I will let you know. The one issue we can see that even after all these experiences, we are actually seeing 3D content in a 2D screen. Now, how to see that 3D depth experience? Because we see this world through our body eyes, and that's how we perceive the depth. So we added another filter. And now I would request you to wear the glasses. So I have added one filter which would show you the 3D object in 3D. And I think if you see it closely, you might see this content popping out of the screen. Can you see this? Yeah. Is it coming out of the screen? So various educational, so this is not the end of it. So you can just remove it. Now this was the augmented reality mode where we can convert any classroom by just adding this device and a projector into an AR powered classroom. Even for every kid, we have another VR filter. This is virtual reality. So I would request my team member. So this is the innovation by Google. The Google-powered innovation which they devised. It's open source design. So this device costs less than $10, and you just put your smartphone into this VR headset. And just wear this. And now I'm put into virtual reality. And whenever I bring my controller in front of this, I can still see the content in virtual reality. And with these buttons, I can see them bigger, I can make them bigger, I can see from all the angles. So basically, this device has started providing 6 degrees of freedom interaction even on a smartphone. And that's why we have reduced down the cost of AR classroom, which other solution providers are providing with headset, to less than 2%. The cost of immersive AR, which is compared with other devices, this cost less than 5%. So that's how. So now these are other use cases where we can actually use it for virtual dissection. This is for gaming. This is for training. We can just skip this slide because I think that is slow. This is our AR-powered classroom solution. Now, yeah. So the problem is not solved there. Issue is there how to get more and more developers to our framework so that they can create content. So we started creating content library, and then we created a learning resource portal where any developers can come, any student can come, and they can also learn. And with our software development kit, they can also create the content. So this is our SDK which we develop for our students. And why only college students? Then we thought of why not schools? So we made a very simple platform even for school kids, where just by simply drag and drop options, they can create any immersive experience, and they can add logic by Scratch-like coding platform. So Scratch is 2D coding platform for kids. This is 3D coding platform for kids. So that's how we are enabling creators, our common man, to create AR/VR content and making them aware about AR/VR. And this is our present status. We have trained so far 1,000 plus developers who are joining our networks and 20 plus MOUs with the universities. And this is recently we have been accredited. We are top 30 startup in 5G by the Government of India. This is by TechXR by your story. And these are some of the encouraging testimonials from our students. So I would just sum up the journey which I had. One basic question I used to ask to myself every day, whether I am enjoying whatever I am doing. And that has always been the driving force to change my profession, whatever it was. There was a time when I was in love with chip industry I was doing it. There was a time when I was motivated enough to create larger impact by doing self-services. I was loving that job each and every day. But when I thought that this particular job is turning 9 to 6 job and I am not enjoying it that much, I always try to bring out some change. And whenever I started learning and devoting my time into learning something else, so I never hesitated in taking breaks. So I would request and strongly recommend, whenever you are confused, just take break, give good time to you, learn new technologies or new things, not new technology, whatever you want to learn, but do something which you can love. You can love throughout your day, because we are not there only to earn in offices. We spend our lives. If you see 9 to 6 or 9 to 7, that is the prime period of our life which we spend. And after that, we only sleep. So 2/3 or maybe 3/4 of our life we spend, productive life we spend in our offices and our professional work. So we got to love what we are doing. And that has been the whole simple solution to every big dream which I am having. Thank you.